but she attends at the same school that I graduated from, and we started a conversation, and she is a certified health coach here at Black Mountain. She also has her own business. Part of her health coaching is she does the tapping, which she's going to talk about, and she is her other job, or her other life, like everybody has another life, like in my other life I was a director and I did all this work for a corporation, like that was my other life, and this life I'm doing this. So in her other life she she still is a graphic designer, but that was her business. So I love that. I love how we can just journey through life and go do things that we're passionate about. So anyway, Valerie's here to teach you and engage you with tapping. And please, it's one of those classes that is interactive and ask questions. If you don't feel comfortable with anything, let us know. But I'm really pretty sure you're going to enjoy this. So welcome, Val.
Thank you. Thanks, Allie, for that introduction. So this is my first time here being part of Bounty and Soul, and I'm really excited. Like Allie said, I've kind of been watching from afar, and when I found out that Allie did the same health coaching program that I did, I was really excited. And pretty amazed, honestly, to see what she's done with Bounty and Soul, right? So I just want to take a minute to acknowledge the work that you do and that all the staff and volunteers do. It's really amazing. But also the work that you guys do, right? Those of you who show up every week and that are making this commitment to do things to change your health. It's not easy, right? So changing the way that you're eating, changing things about stress management, the way you exercise and move your body. It's a big deal, so thanks for being here. And if it's your first time, it's my first time too, so don't be nervous. So before we get started, I know some of you, I think, did you have the yoga class today?
Yes.
So some of you went to yoga, so you might already be pretty relaxed. But I always like to start off any kind of session when I do a private session with just taking a minute to tune in, to close our eyes and tune in with the breath. If it doesn't feel comfortable to you to close your eyes, you can leave your eyes open. But I invite you to put both feet on the floor if that feels okay. Again, if that feels okay to your body. And if it feels okay to close your eyes, let's close your eyes. And let's take 3 breaths. The first breath, breathing in through your nose. Also, if you can't hear me, you guys let me know. I'm kind of a low talker sometimes. So first just start by breathing in through your nose. Feeling the belly expand, and exhale through the mouth. So 2 more breaths that way. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. 1 more. So then I invite you for these next few breaths, and if you've gone to Allison's yoga class, you might have heard of this breath called Ujjayi breath, where you breathe in through your nostrils and you also breathe out through your nostrils. So if that feels okay, a few more breaths now, breathing in through the nostrils. And also see if you can let that breath come out through the nostrils. So a few more breaths this way. So we're just doing this to begin to tune in, to sort of take our minds away from what might have been going on earlier this morning or conversations that we had and what's going on later today. So just be most fully present here to get the most benefit. Also taking a few breaths here to just kind of trust that we're all where we're supposed to be for this morning. Maybe just 2 more breaths. Anchoring into that this space here this morning is a safe space that you're supported by Allie and staff and me and those around you. And then as you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes, or if your eyes are already open. So we'll be handing out, Allie will be passing around some handouts afterwards, or maybe at some point during, that has some more information about tapping, as well as some links to resources. There's a lot of stuff online that you can do on your own, but today's just going to be kind of a general introduction, and then we're going to work through it some together. So I see some of you. Some people have done this before. I guess, has anybody done tapping before? So what is tapping? Another name for tapping is EFT, or Emotional Freedom Technique. When it first came on the scene in the early 90s, that's what it was called. But it's really just a tool. So it's a tool like yoga or like deep breathing. It's a tool that you can use yourself to help you deal and manage with issues. It's a way to tune in to your own knowledge, your own mind-body knowledge. And we start with kind of speaking a truth. We start with speaking a truth about a way we feel right now, about something that's going on in our life, a problem or a pain or a situation that we want to be different. And really there's a lot of power in that. We'll talk about that some more as we go through, but you know, a lot of us, as a way to deal with stress, what we do and what we have to do, there's not necessarily anything wrong with it, but so we shove things down, right? Something comes up and we're like, I got stuff to do today, I got to keep going, you know, or you got a pain in your leg and it's really killing you, but you got stuff to do. So, so there's a lot of power just in speaking that truth and naming what's going on and saying how you'd like for something to be different. The way that the tapping comes into play with that, the tapping is based on meridians. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with acupuncture or Chinese medicine, but there's this theory of, there's really hundreds of meridians in the body that are connected to the flow of energy in the body. So in Chinese medicine, that's called qi. You know, you might think of it as life force or, you know, your spirit energy, whatever kind of resonates with you. But I think that we can all kind of resonate with the idea that sometimes this energy gets blocked, right? So when we're stressed and we are doing that shoving down, we can feel that in our body, right? You can feel not in your stomach or not in your throat or this pain in your body. And that pain is real from a physical sense, but also energetically, these things that get stuck in our body from stress or trauma or experiences that we have block the energy flow. So tapping, one of the guys who's sort of a modern person that's sharing tapping named Nick Ortner, he describes tapping as being a combination of Chinese medicine and modern psychology. So we're combining this theory of energy and meridians with psychology of naming an issue and making statements to change that. A little bit of history. I'll give a little bit of history, and then we're going to go through some different examples as a group. And feel free to ask questions too. I mentioned it was founded in the early 90s by a guy named Gary Craig. I was talking to Jonathan before we got started here and saying, I'm a really big picture person. You know, I'm a yoga teacher, so to me, like, if it feels right, I'm cool with that. I don't necessarily need to understand all the details, but I appreciate that some people do. Excuse me, and my husband's like that. So, for those of you that feel like you'd like to know more of the science and the details, there's a lot of information out there, but it may make you feel better to know that the guy who founded it is an engineer and really rooted in science. It's not just about, oh, it feels good, like woo-woo kind of stuff. There's a lot of people that have done work with that since then, including Patricia Carrington, Carol Cook, and then most recently, the guy I mentioned before, Nick Ortner, and his sister, Jessica Ortner. On that handout, there's some websites. There's so much free information out there, you guys. All the people who have been working with tapping really want everyone to get their hands on it because it is such a powerful tool, and if you're doing it yourself, it's free. And like Ali said, you can't do it wrong, right? So, you know, you can't mess yourself up. You can't, you have nowhere to go but up with it. So part of how tapping works is it helps us, from a psychological perspective, release issues that maybe we haven't otherwise been able to look at or release. From a biological perspective, it's very similar to what's happening when we were doing the deep breathing or what you guys have been experiencing in yoga with Allison, in that it's calming our nervous system. When we get stressed, our body goes into what's called fight or flight. Most of you have probably heard of that. And what happens biologically, again, when we go into that fight or flight, is the blood is shunted away from our organs. It's shunted away from our brain. So that's good if you're trying to flee a tiger, because the blood goes to your muscles and you can run away. It's not so good if you're just in everyday life and you need to think and you need to digest your food and you need to function. The other thing that can happen when we go into fight or flight and our nervous system goes into the sympathetic side of the nervous system is that our cortisol levels go up. Again, that's great if you're being chased by a tiger and you're getting ready to run, you're going to use that up. It's not so great in everyday life. Cortisol levels can cause increases in inflammation, which are linked to so many conditions, and it can also cause weight gain and difficulty losing weight. So to have these tools like yoga and deep breathing and tapping and other things that can help us get our nervous system back into what is called that parasympathetic state, where we can rest and digest and heal, is really important. I was introduced to EFT in college. My mom was a therapist. She was a pastoral counselor for about 35 years, so she was always looking for ways to talk things out and work through things. And I had some issues with chronic pain. I had a fibromyalgia diagnosis, even though I was really young. And so for me, it was a great tool to work through that pain. I kind of compare it to going to the gym or going to a yoga class or do maybe, meditation, that sort of thing. You might experience some resistance to it. I think anytime we're moving into something where there's change involved and a little bit of hard work, especially if that's emotional hard work, you may feel some resistance to that. So that's okay. You may feel resistance to that right now. And actually the first tapping that we're going to do all together is going to be around that. You can tap on anything, including like fear and uncertainty about tapping. So I think we're going to start with that. Also, I used it this morning, like speaking in front of a big group. I teach yoga, but class isn't usually this big, and I'm not usually talking the whole time. So I did a good bit of tapping this morning on being nervous about standing up in front of you guys and talking about this. So hopefully that worked. And we'll talk about this some more too. We're going to do some general tapping, and then we'll do a little more specific. Like a lot of things, the more specific you can get, the better. But that'll, I think, be more clear. Again, for those of you who like the science and statistics, tapping has been used by a guy named Dr. Dawson Church.
Leave that door open. Leave the door open. It's very, very disturbing to us. Thank you.
So it's been used with veterans to help treat PTSD with a lot of success. It's been used, Nick Ortner, who I've mentioned a couple times, he lives in Sandy Hook, or in the town where Sandy Hook happened at the elementary school, the shooting there, and he gave his services for the parents and residents and families there who were really experiencing, kind of a traumatic, a PTSD-like experience themselves. Also, the Dr. Dawson Church guy, he had a randomized trial study. So some people did tapping, some people did nothing, some people did traditional talk therapy, and they measured cortisol levels, cortisol that we talked about being that stress hormone. And the average reduction for the group that did tapping was 24%, some with as much as 50%. They were so shocked by that, they thought that it was wrong. They retested the machine several times because they were so surprised that it was that big of a deal. So you may see and feel an immediate reduction. It might take time though, so it's okay whichever way that happens. You might be like, man, that felt better than I have in years right now after doing a couple. Or you may need to get home and experiment with it some yourself, but hopefully you'll all see a little bit of a change. And it can be used for phobias, fear, anger, weight loss, any kind of stress, really anything. Any questions so far?
You did find that it was more or less effective than the traditional talk therapy?
More effective than the traditional talk therapy. I think the idea, not that traditional talk therapy is not important, because it very much is, but the idea of these energetic blockages that sometimes experiences in our life, stress and trauma, you know, they leave an imprint energetically in our bodies. You know, like sometimes we can feel that. You go through a stress and you're like, I feel this in my body. You know, so I think that's part of the idea, is that this can help address things that talk therapy might not. Also, sometimes I think you'll find that as you do this and go through the deeper steps, sometimes you say things that you didn't even really know that you were thinking about something. Like if you're tapping around a pain in your leg, and you know, and then you go a little deeper, this pain that, you know, keeps me from doing the work I want to do, this pain that, and you're just, you know, you're sort of free flowing with it, you might be surprised at what comes up, similar to talk therapy. Any other questions? I am going to show you how to do it, don't worry. I'm not just going to talk about it. Okay.
I took it when I went to be hypnotized to quit smoking cigarettes.
You used
The
it
woman taught me how to do it, yeah.
to help quit smoking. That's great. Yeah, one of the other things I love about it is there's endless applications for it. So, yeah, that's great. Like I said, there's hundreds of meridians in the body, and if you're really interested in that, there's so much information out there about that. But we're just working with 9. And the way that it works is that, so before we go through with actual examples, I'm going to suggest that twice we just go through and tap on each of the points together. So using your index finger and your middle finger. Doesn't matter, again, this is what I love, you really can't do this wrong, you guys. You can use your left hand or your right hand, it doesn't matter. You can use both hands if you feel like I want to double up, but you don't have to. So I'm going to use just one hand, but feel free to use 2. So index finger and middle finger, and the first place we start is on the outside of the hand. We call this the karate chop point, because it's kind of where you would karate chop. And generally speaking, you're tapping about 7 times in each point, but we're talking as we do it, so really it's not hard to get 7 times. I'm sure we've got way more than that already. So the next place, and they're on the chart here, and your handout will show, and as we do it together, I'll talk there. Next place is eyebrows, so between the eyebrows. Next place is side of the eye. Next is under the eye. Next is under the nose. Next is under the lip, the chin, but right under the lip, sort of that little indentation. Next is collarbones, and I sometimes use both on here. Get them both. Next is under the arm, so about 3 inches under the armpit. And next is top of the head.
So it's okay to use your whole hand? I noticed you went from 2 fingers to...
Well, when I'm always making contact with those 2 fingers. That's a good question. You can use more. I'm always trying to make contact with those 2 fingers, just for meridian points. But again, you can't do it wrong. It wouldn't be wrong to get your whole hand on there. Yeah.
Let me use your elbow.
Yeah, that would be tricky. I mean, if you could, I guess. I'm not sure you could do enough yoga to do that. Yeah.
Are you mostly using the pads of your fingers or the tops of your fingers? Like,
So I'm mostly using like the tops up here. Yeah.
The pad, it's not the top. It's right here, not
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah. Again, but don't worry. Don't get too bogged down in the details of that, because you're still getting value just from the meridians that are tapping. So we'll do it one more time, just without saying anything. So the karate chop is first place. Eyebrows, side of the eye, under the eye, under the nose, chin, collarbones, armpit, and top of the head.
So do you have to do like all these in different locations, or can you just sit there and, you know, like in one spot?
there is benefit, I guess, in this process of doing all of them and doing them in order, but you could benefit, and in fact, I can't remember if it's in one of his videos or in the book, but he talks about, like, say you're on the phone with somebody having a stressful conversation, you could just be sitting there tapping the points. And again, if you weren't doing it in order, like, that would be okay, but you could get some benefit just from that release.
In order, like that head, okay.
Yeah, but even if you were just tapping on some of the points too, that could still be helpful. I thought that was kind of cool idea to do it while you're having a conversation and they can't see you. All right, so the first place to start when you're tapping is to think about an issue, and how are we doing on time?
It's like 17 minutes.
Okay, so make sure we have time to do the pain ones too. The first thing you want to do is think about the issue that you're going to tap on, and then you're going to give a number on a scale of 1 to 10 on how intense or stressful that is for you. So I thought it might be interesting because I'm just guessing that if you're new to tapping, it might feel a little strange, or just you might just be a little uncertain, or some of us might even feel resistant to it, right? So your feelings are totally valid, whatever they are. You might be super jazzed about it. But I thought for the first thing we would just tap on uncertainty about tapping.
Give that a number.
Yeah, so give that a number. So think about, what are your feelings about doing this? And give that a number. I should mention too, when we do this in a group setting, if you're doing this at home by yourself, you would be saying the statements out loud. When I've done this in a group setting before in my Yoga for Chronic Pain classes, I invite people to echo what I'm saying out loud. If you don't feel comfortable with that for any reason, just say it in your head. But if it feels okay to say it out loud, there is definitely some value in that, especially when you're by yourself. Again, it's that idea of naming something and giving a voice to it. But in this setting, I get it. If it doesn't feel okay to say it out loud, you can just say it to yourself. So give yourself a ranking on 1 to 10 about how uncertain or maybe stressful or whatever it feels to do tapping right here, right now. So let me just...
10's the highest?
10's the highest. 0 means I am totally okay with it.
So
10
is the worst response.
Yeah, 10 is like, I really
Not
don't want to do this. It feels super weird to me and I don't think it's going to work. 5 is like, I think this is interesting, but I feel a little uncertain about talking out loud and it seems a little, strange or something. And 1 is like, okay, I'm fine with it. Everybody got a number? Okay. So we're going to start with making a statement while tapping on the karate chop point. And if you want to, you can echo me again. If you don't, that's okay too. So even though, yeah,
Both feet on the floor.
that's a good question. If it's comfortable for your body to keep both feet on the floor, that's great. Just energetically, it keeps you grounded. So tapping here. Even though I feel a little bit uncertain about tapping today, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm not sure exactly what this is about, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, I choose to be curious and open to the possibility that it could help. Okay, so eyebrows, this uncertainty. Side of the eye, this uncertainty about how exactly this works. Under the eye, I'm just not certain
It is not
That's
certain.
not certain.
Under the nose. I wonder if it's going to work for me.
I wonder if it's gonna work for me.
Under the chin. This uncertainty.
This uncertainty.
Collarbones. I think I could be open to it.
I think I could be open to it.
Under the arm, releasing the uncertainty.
Releasing the uncertainty.
Top of the head, releasing the uncertainty.
Releasing the uncertainty.
So then we're just going to check in. When we do the other ones, we'll do 2 rounds before we check in. So just kind of check in. Remember what your number was before.
I noticed that you don't do right one, left arm, right eye, left eye. Is there one side you're supposed to?
No, that's another great thing. You can do whatever side that you want to do. You can do both sides at the same time.
You can do both. You could go like that. Could you go like this?
Well, if you want to do both at the same time, I would suggest using both hands. Just otherwise, I think it might get confusing. It'd be like you're giving baseball signals for it. But I don't know. So there's no way to do it. If you really felt strongly you wanted to do it that way, that would
I
be
don't know
easy.
with either underarm. Okay.
Yeah, either side, left or right side. So we won't do that one more than once. We'll do the others more than once. But the idea is that on any given issue, you measure where you are on that scale afterwards compared to where you were beginning. And you keep doing it until you have a reduction. So if it's something that you're super stressed out about, like this morning, I did it 2 or 3 times. Like I started off at a 7. I was pretty nervous. And then I went down to like a 5 and then a 3. And I was like, okay, I can work with a 3. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes it'll go down quickly. Did anybody notice anything? I know it's just the first one, so no pressure if it didn't change on the first one. Anybody notice anything? All right, so for the next example, I was thinking that we would use pain because I think all of us, whether you experience chronic pain or have a chronic condition or just have an injury, we all have some place in our body where we're holding some pain. So I'm going to ask you to, again, close your eyes if it feels okay to close your eyes. If not, just take a few breaths and scan your body and bring your attention to that place where you're feeling the pain right now. So really focus in on that place. Take a couple more breaths there. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, identify where you are with that pain. That scale could be about the intensity of the pain itself, or maybe it's about the stress and anxiety you're feeling from that pain. And just notice what that number is. Make a mental note of the number and what that place is. So we're going to start with the karate chop. Karate chop point. So even though I have this pain in my body, I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Even though I have this stressful pain in my body,
Even though I have this stressful pain in my body,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Even though it's hard dealing with this pain,
Even though it's hard dealing with this pain,
I choose to relax and accept myself now.
I choose to relax and accept myself now.
Okay, eyebrow, this pain in my body,
This pain in my body,
side of the eye, this pain,
this pain,
under the eye, this pain,
This pain,
under the nose, this pain in my body,
this pain in my body,
chin, this pain I feel now,
this pain I feel now.
collarbones, I feel this pain,
I feel this pain.
under the arm, I acknowledge this pain,
I acknowledge this pain.
top of the head, I wonder if I can let this pain go.
I wonder if I can let this pain go.
Going back to the eyebrows, this pain in my body,
This pain in my body.
side of the eye, I'm listening to this pain,
I'm listening to this pain.
under the eye, this pain in my body,
This pain in my body.
under the nose, this pain,
This pain.
chin, I choose to let this pain go,
I choose to let this pain go.
collarbone, this pain,
Same.
Under the arm, letting it go.
Letting it go.
Top of the head, letting it all go.
Letting it all go.
And then just stopping. Tuning back into that place. Take a couple of deep breaths. And just notice what there is to notice. You might have a reduction in your number. Maybe you have pain show up somewhere else or another feeling show up somewhere else. And if that were to happen, if we were working one-on-one, we might shift and tap into that. Like if you had pain in your foot and now you have pain in your shoulder, we might go there. Or if it caused you to be anxious about something else, focus on that pain, we would then go there. So,
Pain is less,
pain's left.
yes.
Good. So that's the idea. If you were doing this at home, or if we were doing it one-on-one or a small group session, we would go through that multiple times. And you know, that just took what, a minute or two. So I would encourage you, if you have you know, something that you're working with, give yourself 5 or 10 minutes and just try it. And go through it several times. And if you can integrate it, you know, doing it every day or every couple of days, I think you'll start to see a big difference. One of the things, so we did a pretty general one there, right? We didn't, you could tap on every single one. If you wanted to be general or didn't want to think about next steps, you could just say this pain, every single time. You don't have to be changing the wording. But there is some value into going a little bit deeper as you go. So we're going to do another round with pain where we go a little bit deeper just to kind of give you an example of what that might look like. And some questions that you could ask yourself if you're not sure what to do in terms of going a little bit deeper. One thing would be to think about when it started. So if we're talking about pain, when did the pain start? Was it a result of an accident, or did it start 5 years ago? Did it start yesterday? What emotions do I have when I think about this pain? Maybe it's fear. Sometimes when you have chronic pain, there's a fear that's never going to go away, right? Or maybe if you have pain, it's anger. You're mad. Why me? Why do I have to deal with this? Think about how could your life be different if this was no longer an issue. Again, if it's a chronic issue, sometimes it's hard to even let ourselves think about this. Like how would I want things to be different? And what have I learned? So those are just a few. Again, the great thing about this, you can't do it wrong, and you are your own best teacher. Like, there's an intuition that you have, that we each have, that lets us know where to go with things and where it's safe to go. Which I didn't mention that before. It's important to note you can't do this wrong. However, some of us have experienced severe trauma in our lives or have PTSD. So if you're working through this and you feel things come up that your body just says, hey, I'm not ready to go here, that's okay, and you can reach out to a practitioner or your pastor or someone that can help you talk through it. You don't have to force it, and just really honor that message from yourself. Any other questions so far? So I'm going to do an example next of taking a little bit deeper with pain, and then if we have a chance, we'll check in on time. I was going to take suggestions. Well, we can do a general one on stress, or I can take suggestions for what to do if anyone has a specific suggestion or wants to do one specific for them.
Actually, I wasn't feeling any pain.
Yeah.
I started, and I found every time I said pain,
Yeah.
it reminded me of when I am in pain.
Right.
So best to use this only when there is discomfort.
That's a good question. So she's asking
Although this is kind of
if she was saying there wasn't pain before, but talking about pain made you think about pain. So, two things about that. One, I probably should have suggested that if you didn't have a place that was actually in pain, to just think about something that's stressful. So that would be one thing. But the other thing,
What if you're not having stress either?
Well, then I want to know your secret. But that does kind of address what I was saying before, is that sometimes when you're, and I had this happen with a client one time we were working with, she had sciatica and we were working with that pain. That reduced, but then all of a sudden her shoulders were picking up the slack and the pain moved to her shoulders. So then we just started tapping on the shoulders, and then we kind of explored like, well, why, I wonder why this is moving, or, so it's really about, again, there's no wrong way to do it, and it's just about observing what happens, and then if something else comes up, tap on that, just go in that direction. And that, again, trusting that that's what's supposed to come up for you. Although, again, in that situation, if with the pain, and in this next round, if you don't have pain, just think about something that's stressful.
Well, if I sit down long enough, I'm sure it'll.
It's just about 4.
Oh, so we're close to the end. Okay.
Yeah, just so you know.
So when you do the stress, I'm sorry, is that emotional? I guess would be, tomorrow would have been my son's 27th birthday, and so I'm having a lot of trouble this week
Right.
with thinking of that, thinking
Yeah.
of when he was little,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. So,
Is that,
yeah, so in that situation, you could start with a basic, not a basic, but a general feeling. So you could tap with, what would you say is the main emotion? Is it stress, or would you call it something else? Do you mind me? Is it
oh
okay
no,
to
I
ask
don't
me?
mind you asking. I don't know how to describe it.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes it just feels like I can't breathe. I guess it's a panic attack.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
that's what they called it in the
Okay.
past.
So in this case, and maybe what we could do for the next couple of minutes is that if you have a question about a specific thing, I could help. We won't go through a whole thing, but maybe just give some ideas on how you might set that up. So for you, it might be, even though I have this panic associated with my son's birthday tomorrow, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. This panicky feeling around tomorrow, I'm really worried what tomorrow is going to be like. Am I going to be able to make it through tomorrow without having a panic attack?
Right.
Tomorrow's going to be really hard. This panic around tomorrow. I wonder if I can make it through tomorrow. And just keep working through that. It's okay. Until you feel like that's changed. You don't have to apologize. There's a safe space and obviously a really deep wound for you. So,
Tap.
yeah. So, again, sometimes just acknowledging that and working through it can be helpful. That those feelings are your feelings to have. And if you want to, after we're done, I'd be glad to talk with you some more about some specific ones, or even write some stuff down for you. Thanks for sharing that.
On a more positive note, could you use it as an anchoring for feelings?
Yes, yeah.
Have a great day tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. You guys have great questions. So he was just saying that couldn't you use this in the opposite way, or not in the opposite way, but a different way, to validate positive feelings? And absolutely. So Patricia Carrington, one of the other people that mentioned, she, instead of saying that I deeply and completely love myself, she would focus on choices. So you might say, I choose to have a positive day today. Or maybe you're already having a positive feeling about, so yes, you could absolutely do the same thing with positive affirmations and go through the, and there's also nothing wrong with doing that as a fake it till you make it kind of thing too, like if that's what feels right to you, you could, go through that with the positive affirmations, even if you're not quite there yet. That's a good point.
And somewhere I read this point up here, and it does feel really tender
Yeah.
by pressed on
Uh-huh.
is really good for relieving depression. Right, it's going from the ears
Mhm.
straight up to the center.
Yeah, so all of
And
these,
there's a spot that feels tender.
Mhm. yeah, so all this is tied into the Western idea of Western medicine with pressure points and acupressure points. And that's why you're getting a benefit from them. Anybody else have a specific thing they're uncertain about? So time.
Yeah, if it's okay, Val, if you want to, just to honor everybody's time and it's time to go through to get food, if it's okay with you, if anybody has any, like Val said, any specific questions or wants to just talk to her a little bit deeper about what we just did, she'll be available for
Yeah,
some
and the
time.
handout has, it has a picture, not the one I drew, but an actual illustration, along with the steps so that you could do this at home and follow some links.